Now, the former UN General Secretary, the late Kofi Annan, once said that enmity between people does not and cannot last forever, but that making peace requires extraordinary courage on the part of all sides.
We realize that youth-led interfaith initiatives really show the commitment of young leaders to demonstrate courage, determination, and imagination in seeking sustainable solutions.
For a long time, most of the conflict that is happening within the different parts that we work in is interfaith conflict, misinformation, misconception, interreligious violence, and all that. So through working with interfaith structures, youth structures, and integrating young people into peace building has actually helped us to contribute to the theme that peace is possible.
That Uganda is one of the 67 countries worldwide that criminalize same-sex relationships, and as a result there is a flow for LGBT refugees out of Uganda to Kenya and elsewhere, and also refugees coming in, LGBT refugees coming in into Uganda from neighboring countries. Much of the work we are doing is with sexual minorities, and so they have been more often attacked.
The motivation behind some of the work that we do, despite some of the challenges maybe that I'm going to mention in a few, is that what we do is not something that we saw happening, but it's something that happened to some of us and still happens to some of the communities that we live in. This challenge is very personal to us as young Muslims and as young faith actors. We often tend to clash with the interface between our identity as Muslims and our identity as Kenyans. One of the challenges that we observe in the field that we work in is personal security, especially when trying to talk about some of these hard issues with the community, especially when you're trying to talk about some of these hard issues with the government. You know, you're challenging some of the issues that are being brought up by the government. Another issue is cultural and religious misconceptions. For a long time in the African tradition, young people are often not given a voice to share some of the issues that they're going through. So as a young actor, as a young faith actor, if you really try to challenge some of these issues, you know, you tend to bring about so much conflict within the cultural aspect and the religious aspect. And if I talk about this from a unique perspective, not only I am a young faith actor, but I'm also a young woman.
Mainly on the youth challenges that we have faced, and mainly me, trying to advocate for the inclusion, peace building, and ensuring a just society where everyone is enjoying his or her right, despite their sexual orientations, is that we are mainly attacked by the security agencies. And up to now, I have spent almost now, this is the 8th month, when the Internal Security Organization is investigating on the role of my organization and to the peace building movements in Uganda. And the office was vandalized by the security agencies. You know, it worries much an advocate when you find security people surrounding your office in the night, then the morning, when your phone is being tracked, your emails are being hacked, and so on. You are socially excluded because of your belonging to a certain group, because of advocating for the rights of minorities. And many of the people are being imprisoned. No matter where you are coming from, no matter the region, no matter the tribe, no matter the sexual orientation, we are all one. So we try to define, to tell them exactly what we do. And Then two, we have tried to also make ally with media to diffuse the voices that are coming from from different people who are objecting our ideology, our theory of change. So we working closely with media, we try to diffuse the voices that are opposite our promotion of rights. So then another aspect, we are trying also to ensure that we work closely with the religious leaders, their adults, our seniors, since we are young leaders, to ensure that they know exactly what is taking place and the problems that are affecting their minorities. Showing the generational gap. You know, some of the things used not to happen as how they used, but this is an area where we have received different people from different cultural backgrounds, from different communities, who need to cope up with the situation and the environment that they are living in. And so we share, we live as friends, we live as neighbors, and ensure that really those ones who come with the new beliefs, ideologies, personal belonging, they are part of us, and they are not excluded.
Before tackling any community issue, you have to find an entry point. You have to map necessary stakeholders, like-minded institutions, and find an entry point into the organization or the community that you want to go to. So we have been trying as much as possible to use softer approaches rather than demonstrations and riots. That is not how we have been going as an organization and also as an institution. And then something else that has happened, that has helped, is building the capacity of communities to be able to bring in their own local solutions, rather than you going and giving them some of the solutions to the problems that you're seeing. For instance, for the interreligious conflicts and issues in places like Lamu and Garissa, which were associated with a lot of incidences of terror, which were some hotspots for Al-Shabaab militia, going there with your own prepared solutions does not help. So you go there to the community, you engage them in a conversation, you listen to what they have to offer, you listen to some of the issues that they feel are personal to them, and you just guide them towards providing local solutions to some of the local problems that are there. So in such cases, they own the solutions and are able to work within those solutions for those problems that they're going through.
I think it's been really helpful and inspiring listening to both Reverend Tyra Moses and Farida. I think I want to begin by just reflecting on the issue of that motivation. And for Farida, what comes out clearly was that personal experience. And I think I want to link this to that empathy that you have to be in the shoes of somebody who's suffering, who has gone through an experience, and be able to walk with that person, and that sort of motivates Kimia and the whole project about working with some of those people who are being the young people are being victimized. And again, when I hear Reverend Atuhaire, I think speaks from a point of some kind of an emotional point of view. And again, that links to that empathy of some of the people who are being marginalized and targeted because of their sexual orientation. So I think for me, this runs across as a key thing about empathy, about some kind of a emotional kind of, stability and recognition of the way people are suffering. And that becomes a motivation for us to do. It kind of inspires people to do something. And the young people picked it up that we can make a change because of the experience of some people have gone through, or maybe experience you've gone through. But again, it's a question of how do you go about it, and I see them bringing out about being clear about the entry points, and doing some mapping of the stakeholders, because it's very, very important, and it's more so where both organizations are working. They seem to be working around countering some kind of insecurity issues, and that you cannot just go in blindly and say we want to make a change. Ironically is that they are trying to contribute to peace, but again, they're also being seen as a threat to peace. So you really have to find a balance on how do you change that kind of perception that we are not here to counter, we're not here to work against the government. We are here collectively trying to contribute towards peace and a peaceful coexistence. But for us to have that kind of peaceful coexistence, that then it means all people are supposed to be included. So it's just trying to twist that kind of perception that we are working against the government priorities when it comes to matters of peace and security. And so identifying and working with the various stakeholders and seeing where are some of those opportunities for us to leverage. I see that one clearly being presented by Kimia and Wuvbon. But something that again that Farida brought up about very clearly is that recognition of the uniqueness of the context. So what's applicable in one context might not necessarily work in another context. So I think for me, again, that one has to be very sensitive on the issues that affect a certain people, a certain community, and being sensitive to that, I think this gives us maybe some kind of, a point of going back to that point of entry. Once you know the context, once you know the people, once you know the actors, then we can be able to see who do you work with, building some of those alliances. And as Reverend Moses talked about it, trying to identify, who are some of those religious communities, because you are talking about interfaith networking. Who are some of those religious leaders, religious organizations that you need to work with? And so building that sense of collaboration. So again, emphasize that peace is possible.
One thing that we have heard from them, and this is very clear, that this is a messy and complicated work and process that involves different people, both within our religious communities as well as externally, interfaith with others, and also beyond with government officials, security authorities, and so on. But one of the things that really struck me is the maturity that I can hear from both Reverend Moses and also Farida. And especially when Farida, you mentioned about, it's not just about being very visible at times. Of course, there's a need to be visible when the time is right. But often so much of the work is behind the scenes. This is what you said about soft power. And you can't just go hard on and just aggressive, but rather having that maturity to find out what are the right spaces to engage and the right people. And often when we're dealing with political context or with government officials, going aggressively in the attack mode probably is not the most fruitful way forward. But I think that was something that struck me, and that is difficult too. To know when is the right time to do what and say what. There are moments where advocacy it's very public, very demonstrative, catches media attention. But so much of the work that you do, and Reverend Moses as well, is behind the scenes. To thank both of you for contributing your wisdom and your experience. And your work and the work of many others, younger leaders, really is not just for the future, but it's really about shaping the future so that we can live as neighbors.